Welcome on in to another action-packed and live pre-Thanksgiving edition of the Between the Hashmarks podcast. As always, I'm Matt Lombardo, joined by my friend, colleague, mentor, the purveyor of the Two Deep Zone. And whether you're watching us live, great to have you in the room. Whether you're driving over the hills, past the river, and into the woods to grandmother's house on Thursday, glad you're tuning in before a great slate of Thanksgiving games. We have a fun show ahead of us here today. Mike, how are you, man? Great to be here a couple days away from Thanksgiving.
I'm great, but I'm a little worried. I just discovered that there are AI-generated fake recipes making the rounds all over the internet now, and I'm worried about fake turkey recipes. I'm worried about people thinking that they can create a medium-rare turkey and serve it on Thanksgiving.
I'm more worried across my social media feeds. People are like giving updates. Hey, if you haven't taken the turkey out of the freezer, tonight's the night to do it. Hey, if it's still in your freezer, put it in the fridge. I'm worried that there are going to be people out there that totally forget. They think they're going to pull it out of the freezer Thursday morning and pop it in the oven. Fortunately, my mom is hosting this year, so she's at least experienced enough at this. But I'm worried that some of the people traveling over the river and through the woods to grandma's house might find a not quite adequate turkey on the table.
Well, I warned Jared Bailey. I spoke to him last week, and he's a young guy, and he's making his first turkey this year. And I reminded him to go buy it now and to do all that other stuff. He has parents. It'll be fine. Here's the thing. You know, we talk about this, and it's like, okay, I'm worried about somebody who's never made a turkey before going on the internet. ChatGPT tells them that you cook a turkey for 45 minutes or something like that. You know what we had when I was a kid? Julia Child. Do you know what Julia Child did on PBS? She got drunk off her freaking gourd on wine on the screen, and she would hold up the raw turkey like with her hands.
Yes.
Yeah. And like put it down and not wash her hands and cut it and like throw the giblets like the Swedish chef over her shoulder and like splatter. You can see the splatters of raw turkey everywhere. We all ate that. She became a legend. We all survived. So I'm not that worried about these ChatGPT recipes, even if it tells you that you can cook a turkey rare, it's delicious.
My great Aunt Gloria was a Julia Child doppelganger, both in terms of looks and in the kitchen. So, I might have felt going over there for, Christmas dinner or eating down the shore at the shore house my grandmother had growing up. So I can relate to the Julia Child's edition of the Thanksgiving dinner. And we have a big show. And a little bit later on, hang with us. If you're in the room, hang with us because we have a very special guest picker for the 3 Thanksgiving games. You're not going to want to miss this. It's a ton of fun. They're really excited to join us. We'll get to that. We're going to play a little bit of Contender worry meter after everything we saw this weekend and a whole lot more. Before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. If you enjoy the podcast, please go ahead and subscribe in the Apple Podcast Store. Leave us those 5-star reviews. They really do help grow the show, boost us up in the algorithm, and we read them on the air every week when we get them. If you enjoy Mike's brand of firebrand storytelling, dad jokes, superhero references, and the deepest analytic dives you're going to find anywhere, subscribe to the Two Deep Zone on Substack. If you enjoy my insider reporting, analysis gleaned from conversations with league sources and player profiles and all those things, subscribe to Between the Hashmarks on Substack as well. And you can check us out on YouTube at Matt Lombardo 975. Mike, I think that covers the housekeeping. But there's one team that has a major worry on its hands going into Week 13.
I think there's 20 teams with major worries, but which team are we referring to?
I'm staring Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings square in the face after watching what happened at Lambeau Field against the Packers on Sunday afternoon. Caught some of that game live as it happened, went back and watched more of it this morning. You just watch J.J. McCarthy, and it's just not working. And you watch J.J. McCarthy, and he holds onto the ball for a century and a half in the pocket. He doesn't feel backside pressure. He doesn't feel pressure coming up the middle. The accuracy isn't there. And I've fought off Minnesota fans over the past 2 or 3 weeks when I put out there that, hey, I don't know that he's the guy. I don't know that he's ready. After Sunday, I'm pretty convinced it is not going to work for J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota.
I think 99.9% of the Vikings fans jumped off the boat. You have to realize Vikings fans were getting told over and over again, sight unseen, because McCarthy was the man behind the curtain for an entire year with his injury, about the intangibles and the work ethic. And they've heard this hornswoggle about Kevin O'Connell being some sort of quarterback genius, which I think is nonsense. But I know you kind of have put some stock in that as well. Anyway, they've been told this and told this and told this, and they never saw the kid. And then the kid gets out there, and they beat the Lions.
Yeah.
And he has to come back against the Bears, and then he has these terrible metrics in those games. And of course, the fan's going to be like, "It's too early. He got it done when he needs to get done. He made the plays he needs to make." The last 2 weeks, that has fallen utterly apart. And you mentioned it. You talked about the time in the pocket, absolutely right. Doesn't feel pressure, absolutely right. You said the accuracy is off. We're not talking about accuracy like the ball's here. We're talking about accuracy like the ball's not within 10 yards of the receiver, where it's bouncing up to receivers, where it's short passes, routine passes, and they're falling out of bounds. This guy looks like somebody who doesn't even belong anywhere near an NFL field.
He looks lost. And I'm not so sure how much I buy into Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer, especially now after watching the regression from J.J. McCarthy. We talk about him essentially being a rookie because of the injury. Even rookie quarterbacks show incremental progress. There were moments last year where you saw Drake May and you said, okay, get some pieces, get a receiver, get an offensive tackle. You can win with Drake May. Bo Nix had a couple of games last year where you said, okay, keep building. Give him time, give him experience in Sean Payton's system. He'll get better. We are not seeing those moments from J.J. McCarthy. And you look at the Packers defense, it's Micah Parsons and everybody else right now. I'm not impressed by what the Packers are doing defensively. And yet, in the second half, they had 3 turnovers and 4 yards. 4 passing yards in the second half. J.J. McCarthy finished with a 34.2 passer rating. He passed for 87 yards and 2 picks. And here's the biggest concern, Mike, in my opinion, because I can live with some of the growing pains, even with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. If you look at what he did in college, where you're executing this run-based system at the highest level, he's a part of that with his mobility. Like, playing with J.J. McCarthy right now is sabotaging the Vikings running game. Jordan Mason had 42 yards rushing. Aaron Jones had 41 yards rushing. If the best traits of J.J. McCarthy are his mobility and his success in a run-based scheme, and you're rushing with your 2 top running backs posting 83 yards, that's not getting it done. You're already not maximizing. Forget maximizing. You're not even involving Justin Jefferson. Now you're taking away what could be the balance that opens the rest of the playbook up with the running game not working. And it just feels like the sooner the Vikings realize that this is as far as you can go with J.J. McCarthy, the sooner they can do right by the veterans on that roster, get a quarterback in there who can maximize what they're doing, turn the page, and try to get better, because it's only getting worse right now.
Right. Defenses are being dishonest against the Vikings. They're like, you're not going to throw if you have a choice. You're probably going to be running on first and second down or creating screen passes or something like that. So they're selling out. And then on third and long, it's like, we're going to sell out with some kind of pass rush blitz, maybe have 2 guys on Jefferson, whatever. He's not going to find the guy. You mentioned the quarterbacks last year. Caleb Williams, for all the problems he had, took 1 million sacks. He would run away from the sack sometimes, put 125 yards downfield on a rope and be like, okay, there's somebody there. McCarthy runs backwards into the end zone and has a panic attack. You know who he reminded me of, and Eagles fans who are listening in right now? Bobby Hoying.
Yeah.
You remember Bobby Hoying, because the first game or two, Bobby Hoying played pretty well. And then the more you saw of him, the more he got lost, confused, frightened by what he was saying, trips over the logo at midfield one point famously and just goes down and stays down. So that's the kind of thing you're seeing. Now, right now, McCarthy's in protocol. He had concussion symptoms when he went home last night. They are looking, I anticipate, I hate to say that we're using concussion protocol as the second soft benching of his career, that it's going to be trending in that direction. We're going to see Max Brosmer. So you have a possibility of the undrafted rookie quarterback going out there. And if he goes out there and just finds Jefferson once in a while, finds Addison once in a while, forces opposing defenses to be honest, then the Vikings are either back in the draft pool next year or they're in the free agency pool. Whereas they have to look and say, well, we could have just had Sam Darnold, and we don't. So now we're going to bring you Jacoby Brissett. Like, how are they going to sell that?
Right, and that to me is the bigger conversation here. Because if Brosner goes out there and does what he did at Minnesota, which is a pure pocket passer, get rid of the ball quickly, get it out to the playmakers, he might play the rest of the way this year. But I don't think you can look at Brosner and say, okay, we're going to move forward with him. This is where Kwesi Adolfo-Menso and the entire philosophy of trying to win while building was flawed right from the jump. And we were fooled a little bit last year by what Sam Darnold was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not moving forward with a Sam Darnold level veteran quarterback and you're going to shoehorn in effectively a rookie into that roster, you're inviting chaos. You're inviting disappointment. And, you talk about going back into the rookie pool. I look at Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, who just is not a fit for that system. It's not working. I mean, do you flip a first or a second round pick for Trevor Lawrence? Do you try to go the Kyler Murray route? It just feels like if you have all of these pieces with a pretty good offensive line, 2 veteran running backs, 2 elite wide receivers, a veteran defense, I don't know that you can wait around for another rookie and not have a mutiny and not have, Justin Jefferson do a little bit more than smash his helmet on the bench on the sideline.
And here's the question that goes for both Kwesi and O'Connell. The Kwesi's drafts have not been good. His early picks have been all over the place. Some of them are not on the team anymore. Are you letting him make that decision and them make that decision for their successors at this point? That's a question that you have to come up with, because this is a failure, organizational level failure. Selecting this kid, having him, so he has the injury, spending this entire offseason and everything, sort of building up this straw man version of who he is, and then moving on from Darnold, and then making this investment when you probably had to be able to tell sometime during training camp, this might be head this way. You can't work with a young man who's playing this poorly and not think, ooh, this is an outcome. So this is something that is a little bit of an indictment of both O'Connell and Kwesi. It'll be interesting to see how Wilf and the Vikings organization responds to that.
The only way that I think you can salvage this is you go and get a Mac Jones type. You go get Mac Jones and you draft a guy and you double up. You double up on the quarterback investment, because you saw Mac Jones in the offense in San Francisco, and he was fine. He was competent in Kyle Shanahan's offense. You put him into this system, and I've had coaches tell me that it's hubris and that it is ego that Kevin O'Connell believes that he can coach anybody. But if you're going to put that theory to the test, get a veteran second-tier guy like Mac Jones, get a first-round rookie, and see if one of those guys works. But I'm with you. I don't know that Kwesi is the guy that you hand the keys to move forward after these failures and this colossal mistake.
Yeah, and I would be terrified at this point to say, well, and if that's the plan, okay, we're going to draft in turn, and we'll get whoever's there, and we'll get Jones or Brissett. And again, they get Jefferson, they get Addison, they get a pretty good, well-built offensive line. I would be scared if he said, I got a plan that involves Trevor Lawrence. It's like you could be sabotaging everything we do on the way out if you trade the farm for a guy, and it turns out this isn't going to work out either. So that would be my concern.
They're kind of in no man's land, and there are a few contenders that I thought had wake-up calls this weekend, or at least we don't know whether they're blips on the radar screen or they're, a cavalcade of B-52 bombers, torpedoing their season away. But I kind of want to get your thoughts and take your temperature on a handful of these playoff teams that coming off rough Sundays. And I think we just start right here in Philadelphia. What's the worry meter on the Eagles? Because I don't think that there's any cause for concern that there's going to be some sort of colossal collapse in the NFC East where they hand over the hats and the T-shirts. But the recent results, I think, are a little bit more worrisome than maybe people are willing to admit when you think about what they're going to have to get through in the NFC in the postseason.
But who's people, though? Because there's 2 different worry meters. There's the worry meter right outside this window where it's basically smoldering lava. Yeah. In terms of every Eagles fan has this absolute gut-in-the-throat nightmare. This is it. They're going to collapse. It's 2023 all over again. You know how many people...
Well, I got to pick my eyeballs up. They rolled out of the back of my head. Let me go pick my eyeballs up back here.
You know how many people screenshotted 2023's PRF page and gave it to me? See, it's the same vibe. It's the same. Like, okay, grim, dark, doom lord, edge lord. Yes, everything is 2023. Just like for our dads and our grandpas, everything was the 1964 Phillies. There is nothing good has ever happened. There's only shame and collapse. We get it. It was a loss to the Cowboys with a 21-point lead blown. Any fan in any circumstance is going to be mad about that. So let's put the anger aside and we have these real concerns. The concern about winning the division, I don't think it's there. I think the Eagles will.
No concern. There's 3 teams in the league, according to NFL Media's playoff picture, that have a 99% chance of making the postseason. It's the Patriots, it's the Rams, and the Eagles. And the Eagles are 8-3. The Cowboys, the only other threat in the division, and they're 5-1. So you would have to have season-ending injuries to Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown, and the defense continued to collapse, and you'd have to lose out, which I just don't see happening, especially when you look at the strength of schedule the rest of the way, for the Eagles. I mean, it's one of the easiest paths for 55 winning percentage the rest of the way. The Bills, Chargers, and Bears are the toughest games remaining. Just win one of those and then handle your business against the Commanders, skeleton, and the Raiders, and they're fine. They're fine to get in, to win the division.
Right. And there's like this little back concern. Some of the things that looked easy might not be as easy. Jaden Daniels is returning to practice. May see him late in the year. So there are all of these things. This gloom and doom element. I'll give you another one right now. And we all watch the Eagles offense. You don't need to tell me that it's out of sync, that there's a problem here, problem there, things aren't working out. Do you know in DVOA where the Eagles offense is ranked?
I'd have to say probably based on the teams they've played, top 8 or so.
8th, exactly. You know it.
How about that? Whoa, didn't even look it up.
Right, 8th, again, because it's like, well, first of all, there weren't many turnovers until Saquon fumbled, and then the return fumble is counted separately. But yeah, you faced the Lions, and you faced all these other top defenses. Packers have one of the top defenses according to DVOA. Rams, again, Broncos, all of these. So when and the Eagles were moving the ball very well against the Cowboys, even in the fourth quarter, but there were these crippling mistakes. So if you eliminate these crippling mistakes, again, you got this team that's going to reach the playoffs, win the division. And if your standard is set at win the Super Bowl, well, guess what? There will always be anxiety. There were anxieties for the Patriots in the 2010s. That's where you're at, where you're going to look around the league and say, are there better teams? I can think of one off the top of my head that we saw on Sunday night.
Yes, no doubt. But I think that if we start talking about the worry meter for the Eagles when you get to the postseason, that second half in Dallas was pretty damning. 143 yards of total offense. Let's remember this. They went into the locker room leading 21-7.
Yes.
Right? I mean, so simple football philosophy with a 21-7 lead, the reigning offensive player of the year with a 2,000-yard season a year ago in your backfield. They rushed for 30 rushing yards in the second half. 30 yards against the Dallas Cowboys. They had 7 first downs after halftime. You can't win that way against the 85 Bears. And apparently you can't win that way against the 25 Cowboys, which is about the 25th ranked defense in the league. There to me are structural issues that the Eagles need to figure out how to get right down the stretch. And we talked about this last week. The good news for them is, and we said this last Tuesday, even if you tripped up against the Cowboys, which was on the table, the way the Cowboys are playing on offense, how much they needed that game to keep any hope of their season alive, that there's still plenty of time to fix it. So Sunday night, I'm writing the column, and I reached out to a defensive line coach who played the Eagles earlier this season. And I said, look, you obviously studied them. You played against them. What's the biggest issue with the Eagles right now? And he told me, quote, it's the same offense they've always ran, but that offensive line isn't nearly as dominant as it has been in years past, unquote. And maybe that's just simplistic zeroing in on that's what they thought they could exploit when they were playing them. Maybe there are some bigger picture structural issues there. But I point to the blowout win against the Giants. And if you'll remember, I talked to Baldy after that game, and I said, what's the difference with Saquon? What sparked that? And he goes, he didn't lose a step. He didn't, he's not less explosive. He's the same running back. They just opened up holes and they ran a pull and pin in a way that they didn't, previously in the year. They're blocking better. maybe the offensive line is a little older. Maybe it is a little more banged up. And maybe so much of this trickles from that line not being number one all the way down here, number two, as it was the last couple of years.
I think you're right. Now, I pulled some stats earlier, and you can see me rushing here. You talk about pull and pin. I went through Sports Info Solutions' database, and I looked for plays where there was a pulling guard or pulling tackle, pulling center. Pull pin, all these variations. Of course, when a lineman gets up and he runs to the outside and makes some kind of block to the outside, and that's a big part of it. They keep track of that at Sports Info Solutions. Last season, Barkley had 5.6 carries per game. So let's say 6 carries for 41 yards per game on those kind of plays. That's 7.3 yards per carry. Okay. And again, they ran it about 6 times per game. This year, they're running at 3.0 carries for 23 yards per game. So that's like 4 yards a game. They're running it half as often. Yeah. They're getting less effectiveness out of it. And that's one of those. I got another one here, read options. Okay, go zone read options. Now, the SIS keeps track of it. If Jalen Hurts hands off the Barkley and goes like doot, 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 doot off the side, you can tell that was a read option. So they keep track of it. Last year, Barkley rushed 100 times for 435 yards on read option, 100 carries. That's in the regular season. This year, he's 18 for 77. There are pieces that have just been taken out of the offense. Yeah. They're gone now.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
That's something worked really well. We don't do that anymore. And that's Patullo. Obviously, you can put some of that on Sirianni, clearly. But I don't understand that. So I think that talks to what Baldy is saying. And it speaks a little bit to maybe the offensive line is not as good. Maybe they pulled those out. But there's still something there that's not giving Barkley the opportunity to get what he often got last year, which was a nice, easy run increase to go through, where his specialness came when it was 10 yards downfield. He turned on the Jets.
For sure. So I think in terms of the Eagles' worry meter, I'm going to put myself somewhere around like a 5.5, maybe. It's not worried about the division. It's what happens after that in the postseason. And yeah. I think that when you look at the offense being what it is, that defense is going to have to play at an elite level every single week, every single series to give them a chance.
Right. And again, I don't think the offense is as bad as all that. I think you'll see it play better against better opponents. And mistakes have to be eliminated. I know Sirianni just says there's no change to the play calling structure, whatever. 5.5 out of 10, that's fair. That's where I'll put it.
Moving to Tampa Bay, and the Buccaneers are a team that I had really high hopes for even a month ago, with Baker Mayfield playing his way into the MVP conversation, with that defense, kind of dictating to teams. I'm not worried about this. Similar to the Eagles, I am not worried about them winning the division because they cracked the door open for the Panthers, who went into San Francisco last night with a chance to make a statement, potentially unseat the Bucs as the division leaders. Brock Purdy even gifted them 3 interceptions, and they scored 9 points. So I'm not worried about the Buccaneers surviving Carolina. Nice team. The quarterback is getting better. They're on the ascent. Sorry, not sorry. You're a pretender in Carolina. But you look at the Mayfield. If he's not 100% healthy and the shoulder injury looked pretty bad against the Rams, who knows what the MRI is going to show. If he's not fully healthy, they only have the Saints, they only have the Cardinals, they only have the Dolphins, they only have the Falcons and the Panthers twice. They can give out hats and T-shirts after eating pumpkin pie on Thursday for all I care. But I feel like they're a one and done. I feel like if Mayfield isn't 100%, they are no better than a one and done, which is what they were last year against Washington. Well,
yeah, if that's the thing, then like my worry meter for them doing anything except showing up for the playoffs and getting hammered is at about an 8 or 9. The scenario has to be Mayfield has to be back for the playoffs. Now, they've been getting better news on the other injury fronts with Godwin working his way back and Bucky Irving working his way back. Those will be big pieces. My theory is, again, the opponents you just named, holy cow, Teddy Bridgewater with the full complement of, or close to the full complement of weapons, with like 75% of the complement of the weapons, will be able to eke out enough of those wins to get there. What worries me right now is like the 48-hour MRI.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times did they jam him back in that machine just to like double check to figure out what the hell was wrong?
Right. Or he's like ripping up the results. No, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Just give me some steak and a beer and I'll be fine. He's ripping up the results and they're like, hey, you don't even have a shoulder anymore, Baker. Come on.
Yeah, and they seem to have overcome those other injuries. I mean, you look at Sean Tucker playing really well, in the backfield. Taz Johnson, one of my favorite receivers when we were down in Mobile, has stepped up and has a nice little touchdown streak going. But it feels like without Baker and giving it to Teddy Bridgewater, you'll limp in, but I don't think that you're going to be able to knock anybody off once you get there.
And just one thing, they got clobbered on Sunday night, legitimately, no question about it. That was a team that was not only injury plagued, but getting over the flu. Like half of them were getting over the flu. There was almost no practice. There were guys who were probably going out there after getting IVs, et cetera. So it was worse than the regular Buccaneers. But again, I didn't have a lot of faith. I guess I did. I had a lot of faith in them in early October when they were winning a bunch of games with the injuries. And they were winning some close games at the end. It's like, this is a team that can get out there and could, snipe a weakling opponent. Back when, the Eagles look vulnerable, Lions look vulnerable at times, the Buccaneers could do it. Not with Teddy Bridgewater, they won't.
No, not at all. And the way that they responded after losing that game to the Patriots, going in and taking the Bills to the brink, you still give up 6 touchdowns to Josh Allen. You played hard. Give them the participation trophy. You played hard. They could have rolled over after that game against New England. They didn't. But to just get sandblasted by the Rams and then have Baker Mayfield get hurt, it does not feel like it bodes well for the Bucs once the postseason arrives.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's exactly it. They rolled over on Sunday night. That's when the rollover happened.
For sure. Let's move to Detroit. Mike, I don't think it's hyperbole to say must win against the Packers for the Lions. I mean, the NFL's 4th toughest schedule the rest of the way. They still have to play the Rams, still have to play the Bears, still have to play the Packers. And the way the Bears are playing right now, they're not just a fun little upstart story anymore. I mean, they're finding ways. I disagree. They're creating takeaways. They're scoring off of them. The quarterback isn't making. They're better than the Panthers. They're better than the Panthers.
Anyway, I don't mean to derail you, but I will be hearing no Bears positivity at this time. This is Fraudzilla, folks. These guys are Fraudzilla.
Hey, mark the tape. A Substack machine, AI machine, mark the tape. We'll play this back on Friday afternoon.
Go, Fraudzilla. The Bears are Fraudzilla. But everything else you say is true. And I'll say that you're going to be facing the Bears on the road in a playoff important game down the road. That's what the Lions will be dealing with. In addition to everything else you said, of course, they risk getting swept by the Packers. That's going to erase the division from the possibility, more or less, if they get swept by the Packers in this game. So, yes, it's a must-win. Lions have also not demonstrated their big game victory portfolio right now boils down to the win against the beaten-up Ravens, doesn't it? I guess the Buccaneers, that's a big game too. Okay.
Because the Buccaneers were still in it at that point. I mean, there was still a barometer game for them. NFL media right now gives the Lions a 76% chance to get in. If they do, I think they make some noise. I mean, I look at what Jahmyr Gibbs is doing every single week. I look at them kind of winnowing away David Montgomery's role and realizing, hey, he's our best player. We should give him the ball more often. And the dude just scores touchdowns, close to 300 yards from scrimmage on Sunday, 3 total touchdowns, just a machine. Might be an MVP if the Lions can get in and win the division. But it starts with beating the Packers, because if you get swept, that means you can kiss that tiebreaker goodbye. You might have to kiss the division goodbye at that point. Yeah. They're so talented and they're so explosive, but they've put themselves into this corner where there's no margin for error the rest of the way.
They'll be 1-3 in division if they get lost, because they tripped over McCarthy and the Vikings in a sloppy game. They were in the process of tripping over the Giants. They tried very hard to trip over the Giants, where they could not do anything in the first half, where they looked like they were still playing the Eagles in the first half. And then Gibbs decided, screw it, I'll do it myself. This is, and again, the talent's undeniable, but they've put themselves in this position. Okay. Yes. And this is the team that should be worried. Okay. This is a team that can look around and say, okay, Gibbs can do these things. Amon-Ra can do these things. Offensive line, just like the Eagles' offensive line, isn't playing at the elite level it used to. Defensive line is Aiden Hutchinson. Okay. So they can't count on their defense making these big plays. They pretty much have one guy that they're counting on. Tough schedule down the road. If the Eagles are at a 5.5, I put the Lions at a 7. with the big caveat that you do start to look at them. If they do a one and done in the playoffs, if the Buccaneers do one and done in playoffs, it's business as usual. If Eagles do one and done in the playoffs, everyone will riot. Everyone will say Sirianni gets fired. You're coming off of the Super Bowl. Guys, go polish the trophies. We're fine. The Lions keep doing this.
Yes, they keep regressing. They
Yes.
keep regressing. You go to the NFC Championship game against the Niners. You get boat raced in your own building as the number 1 seed by Jaden Daniels last year. If
Yes.
you can't get through the first round, maybe it's too early to raise questions about Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, but it's certainly not too early to rip up the playbook and say, maybe we can't piecemeal a pass rush together opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe we need one more. Maybe we need an edge rusher. Maybe we need two to collapse the pocket around the quarterback, chase the quarterback into either Aiden's or mystery player X's arms. You can't overlook your glaring weakness anymore, right? And I just look at them, and there's so much talent there that it's hard for me. And the culture is the envy. It's the envy of the league. It's why the Jets hired Aaron Glenn. It's why the Bears couldn't wait to hire Ben Johnson. It's the culture. It's what they built, but it needs to deliver wins in January for it to matter, right?
Right. Had they traded for Jaden Phillips instead of the Eagles, they win last week because the Eagles don't have that guy, and they do. You can pretty much bank that. You mentioned the Packers, you mentioned the Rams, you mentioned the Bears.
Rams are the best. Rams are the best team in the NFC.
Rams are the best team in the NFC.
Doing worry meter. They're the most complete. They're like an avalanche. They just keep coming at you and they keep running you over.
Yeah, there's nothing to worry about there except, well, maybe we won't get it done. There's not like a worry beyond that, and the division's tough, etc. Cowboys are on that. Cowboys can spoil. Eagles just saw that. You can't look at the Cowboys and say, well, these are the Cardinals and they're just going to roll over on you. They've got these things that can do that to you. I would say the Steelers, who are also on the Lions list, are this heavy spoiler team. They're a team with a winning record. Rodgers will probably be back for whatever that's worth. Lions have a gauntlet. They've got to demonstrate they can win some of these big games. Clearly starts, I think, against the Packers in 2 days.
For sure. And I think the Cowboys are a little bit better than that, right? I mean, when you have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak Prescott playing as well as he is, that's as good a receiver duo as you have out there. And you're going to tax just about every secondary in the NFL with those two guys.
Quentin Williams has made a difference. It's helped the rest of that line out. There's a lot of talent in the interior line of that team. It just got more talented. They're demonstrating that. I think they demonstrated that against the run for the Eagles, where they could put that heavy formation out there. So, and early in the season, when they were all offense, no defense, all their offensive linemen were hurt. People lost track of that. All the Tylers, the entire Cowboys line are like 5 guys named Tyler. They're all back. They're all playing pretty well. It's a different Cowboys team. You can't just look past them. They played spoiler on Sunday. They could play spoiler 2 weeks from now at Detroit.
Quentin Williams is like the inverse Quitzilla, right? He has more pressures. I saw this number and I did double take. I believe more pressures in the 2 games in a Cowboys uniform than he had for the Jets all season when he was there.
I think I have 13 or 11. That might be 11. Let's use 11 pressures on my database here in 2 games. That's a ton for an interior lineman. He was done in New York.
Yeah.
He was done in New York. He wants a bigger stage, and Dallas is always a bigger stage.
Bigger stage. You can be a piece there. You can be the cornerstone piece, and they keep building and they start investing some resources there. Who knows? But let's go over to the AFC, because watching, I have the 3 TVs here in the command center, and the main TV is the main event. I was zeroed in on Colts Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. Probably the game of the weekend, in my opinion. But for Indianapolis, that was alarming. Like, there should be we should be able, when we're in Indy for the combine, those alarms should be ringing. We should hear them at prime 47 at like 2 a.m. when we're stumbling out of there from what happened in that game.
Yes, and by the way, Eagles fans, because I know a lot of Eagles fans are listening. If you're like, man, I miss Shane Steichen. I miss Shane Steichen. Oh, and I would take him back right now as offensive coordinator. No questions asked. Watch the 4th quarter and overtime play calling. Shane admitted that was a bad game plan late in that game, and they looked confused, they looked panicky, and their idea was, let's let Daniel Jones win this game for us, which is not the right decision to make when you've got Jonathan Taylor, a great offensive line, and all these playmakers that you could have used on like jet sweeps and quick screens and everything like that. Bad, not ready for primetime performance by the Colts.
James Schwartz checks in the chat. Danny Dimes coming into form. We have almost 50 people in the room. Great to have everybody here.
Yes.
Rounding into form is about right. 4
Yes.
possessions in the fourth quarter of overtime. 4 3-and-outs. This was the number one offense in the sport going into Arrowhead, going into that game. 4 possessions in the fourth quarter, 4 3-and-outs. And all this conversation about Jonathan Taylor as the MVP, this is the same Jonathan Taylor who ran them to a win overseas against the Falcons 2 weeks ago. He had 1 carry for -2 yards in the fourth quarter. We talk about the Eagles getting away from the running game in a game that they led 21-7. They let the Chiefs come from 11 points down over the final 9 minutes, and Jonathan Taylor had 1 carry for -2 yards. They built for this game, right? Let's make no mistake. They saw what Daniel Jones was doing, and they said, okay, we might have a window now. Let's go get Sauce Gardner. Right? Let's go get a guy who can erase a Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice goes wild. We're going to talk about the Chiefs in depth in a little bit here.
Right.
But, they bring Daniel Jones in. He's 2 of 8 for 13 yards in the fourth quarter. That's suboptimal. I mean, that's just not what you want to see. And I spoke to an AFC scouting director about Daniel Jones and about the Colts in general. He said, quote, today has to raise huge questions for them, but Daniel Jones playing better this year never eliminated all those questions from his past. It's just becoming clear that they can't put too much on him alone, unquote. And to that I say, if you can't put it all on Daniel Jones and you're giving Jonathan Taylor, your MVP, back 1 carry for -2 yards, who are we putting it on? How does this work?
They were putting it on Jones because these were drop back passes. Like I didn't see a lot of little rollout plays. I know there were 1 or 2. They've got the same rollout play to Warren that they do over and over again, and that's been figured out. You might want to do something else with that right now, but it was stale. It was asking too much of Daniel Jones. By the way, Rashee Rice went wild from the slot mostly. Yeah, I went and looked at that. The Colts are lining up Sauce on the same side of the field. I don't want to say which side because I get my right and my left when I'm speaking extemporaneously. I get them.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's lining up on one side, and that's fine. The defense can do that and have a lot of success. The Eagles did that last year for most of the season. But Andy just said, let's put Rashee Rice in the slot and see what happens. And Kenny Moore tried to do it, and it was a mixed bag. Let's put it that way. Here's the Colts' upcoming schedule. Texans, best defense in the world. Jaguars, Chaos Goblins. Seahawks, number 2 in the NFL and DVOA right now, I think on both sides of the ball. Top 5 on both sides. Niners, no joke.
No joke.
Jaguars, Chaos Goblins.
Yes.
Texans, best defense in the world, and that game will probably matter for both teams. So
Texans are going to mess around and win that division, aren't they?
They're so far behind. They dug such a hole. They're going to mess around and do something, though.
That defense, man, I watched them against Buffalo on Thursday night, and my God, you just talk about I have a feature coming up on the best players on terrible teams. I can't even say the Texans are a terrible team right now based on their upward trajectory, but you look at what they're doing along that front seven, and my goodness, they swallow quarterbacks up. And I wrote on the notes that the Colts are winning that division. With that schedule, what I saw Sunday, it might get hairy there down in Indianapolis.
And the Jaguars are running around doing goofy stuff, like having Trevor Lawrence commit 4 turnovers, but their front 4 is really good. ETN is having a phenomenal year, and they're scratching victories. So you look at it and say, okay, the Colts, they're going to get a split with the Jaguars. Maybe they'll probably get a split. Let's say they get a split with the Texans. And now you're coming in at 11-6. Do you think I think they can go 3-3 down the stretch. The problem is, if you try to talk me into 4-2, you have to tell me where the 4 wins are.
I almost think that they could get swept the way Will Anderson is playing.
Okay.
I think they get swept by the Texans. And that's when it gets really interesting.
The trick there is 2-4, because at 10-7, they're probably still in. Because the record in the AFC, and again, if you tell me they're going to get swept and then like the Jaguars are going to sweep them, you got to go back and watch the Jaguars game before, because for 3 quarters the Colts did play very well. They played very well on defense against the Chiefs, so there is still a there. My playoff worry for the Colts is actually my playoff worry is down at about a 3.5. because they built up a tolerance, like their previous wins are there. But for them to do anything more, they get into the playoffs. We have won our division. Hey, and here come the wild card Chiefs. Here come the wild card Ravens. Here come the wild card Bills, and they're mad.
It's like you read my notes. It's like
Right.
you hijacked my notes app because I put down the exact same thing and made my thoughts here. Because here's the thing: you don't trade for Sauce Gardner to go one and done. You don't leverage all those high draft picks just to get in, right? Like,
right.
And I feel like watching that game. I wrote it in the column on Monday morning. It's like we found their ceiling. And their ceiling is when you play against the Chiefs, when you play against playoff caliber competition, you kind of sink in the moment, as Daniel Jones has done through much of his career. And he really did in the second half with everything in front of them. Because if they win that game, the conversation is different. If they win that game, we're talking about best secondary in football, Daniel Jones finding legitimacy, MVP running back, great offensive line, Tyler Warren. We're talking about them differently than we are right now.
And that's why you always have to watch a little bit and say, right, which means if Shane Steichen calls like 3 better plays somewhere along the way, then that's the conversation that we're having. So you do have to the push and pull of it. I feel to a degree they were exposed in terms of their ceiling, but I'm not going to panic them all the way up. But again, that's what lines up. This schedule is hard no matter what. The wild cards in the AFC are probably going to be a Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the Bills are going to be bouncing around in there, and the Ravens might be bouncing around in there, and the Chiefs might be bouncing around in there. And if they aren't, then the Broncos are coming in with like the best defense in the universe, and they're mad because of what happened in week 2. So, I mean, I would put anything more than a one and done fear at the Colts up at about a 9.
Yeah, I was going 8.6 for a January worry meter. It just feels like they're not going to be favored against the Chiefs again. They're not going to be favored against a healthy Ravens defense. They're not going to be favored against Josh Allen. And big picture, I'm going to keep harping on this. You don't trade all those first round picks for Sauce Gardner if you don't think that you can go to a Super Bowl this year. You just don't.
Yeah.
And now if you don't win a playoff game, now you're looking at Daniel Jones and saying, okay, maybe he's Sam Darnold. Is it enough? Right? I mean, that's kind of the long-term big picture conversation they're going to have.
Because he's not under contract.
Right.
Like Darnold, he is not under contract for the future. So you have to start factoring that in. Now, for the Colts, it's a little bit different than it is for, the Eagles or Lions. If they win a playoff game at home, you can kind of declare a success for that season. The Colts love to hang the banner. At least we tried banners all up there in Lucas Oil Stadium. Winning a playoff game after the way the last couple of years have gone, you say this is success you can build upon. You can keep a lot of these guys under contract. Got to figure out what you're doing at quarterback then. Even Anthony Richardson, you're going to pull a Kwesi. It's like, Anthony Richardson might be ready now. He learned a lot watching from Dan.
And he's going to want to play. He's going to want to come back and be motivated after watching Daniel Jones this year. He's going to be thrilled about the opportunity.
Carly Ursay Gordon is calling me on her headset, and she's saying, I know stupid when I hear it. Stupid. So so maybe that's not the best plan.
You mentioned the angry Bills, and they're going to be angry, especially after what happened on Thursday. They couldn't move the ball against the Texans. Will Anderson lived in the backfield. Danielle Hunter decided to rent some real estate in the backfield. They ran the ball well with Willie Marks against them, too, which I think is the bigger worry, that they can't stop anybody defensively. They got away from James Cook. The Keon Coleman thing is a real problem. I mean, I'm talking like organizational shaking type of problem.
Yeah.
Do they beat the Ravens again if they get them in the postseason? If the Ravens are firing on all cylinders, do they get past a Broncos defense in the postseason after they have to play them? And we were talking about this team with Josh Allen as, hey, Super Bowl or bust. I don't know if that's still reasonable for them.
Yeah, you talk about a team that has the same problems over and over again, and Eagles fans will be like, "Oh yeah, same problems over and over and over again." Bills can't stop the run. Week in, week out, they rotate guys. Guys get healthy who are hurt at the beginning of the year. And it's like, oh, when those guys get back, when Oliver gets back, no, they still can't stop the run. Okay. The offense looks uncoordinated, guys. If you don't like Patullo, I don't like Patullo either. You got to watch Joe Brady. Go watch Joe Brady. Go watch the Messiah of Mesh, Joe Brady, go out there and just run the same plays over and over again and nerf Josh Allen at that level. When if they just ran the ball, they would beat most of these opponents. Same problems keep happening. This is interesting because this is the team where I would say the playoff, even the reach the playoff meter. Okay, that's like at a 4 or 4.5 because they'll beat the Jets and the Browns, whatever. It's at 11.
Yeah, I know.
Because you talk about Super Bowl or bust team that it's all up through the organization right now. Okay, if they lose in the first round of the playoffs on the road to somebody, or they lose to a team like the Ravens, etc. Okay, so you sacrifice your offensive coordinator. How does your coach bounce back from that?
I don't think. I mean, McDermott's got to go. If you don't make the AFC Championship game minimum, McDermott has to go, right? And I think you have to look long and hard at Brandon Beane, because I just look at this whole Keon Coleman disaster. You drafted Keon Coleman in the second round last year thinking he would be enough in a second year to let us go draft 4 defensive players with our first 5 picks, right? Yeah. We're going to build this elite defensive line through the draft because we saw Philadelphia win a Super Bowl and go to 2 in 3 years building along the defensive line. We're going to copy that blueprint. And we saw what Patrick Mahomes has done to us in the playoffs every year. We're going to go draft an elite cornerback out of Kentucky to bring him in to match up against these wide receivers. Screw the wide receivers, right? We got Josh Allen. We're fine. We got Keon Coleman. He's going to make a leap. They left him at home. They didn't even bring him on the flight to Houston. That to me is an indictment of your entire building, your entire philosophy. And if it doesn't work, then I think you have to think long and hard about sweeping change, because you're wasting away Josh Allen's prime right now.
Right. And Coleman, I think that's another hubris of, hey, if we keep talking this guy up as wide receiver 1 all through the preseason, this guy is wide receiver 1. Like they're talking that. And this is a guy who's not showing up for meetings, right. Right. You can't tell me these problems started up 3 weeks ago. That's never how this goes. If they do that, if they sweep out the organization, they had better do a complete blow up around Josh Allen. Okay, because that means that you say this era is over and we have to get another era started in a year or so around Josh Allen. And that means there's so many veterans. All these veterans, a clean house on these veterans, try to clean house on salary cap. I'm not sure I advocate for that, although I kind of see it, but that is definitely within the range of possibility, because it's hard to be able to say, oh, we've regressed. Okay. And some of the things that haven't worked have clearly been organizational, not getting Xavier Worthy when you had him and doing these things. These guys can't walk out there to the team next year and give the same spiel. Beane and McDermott can't walk out there. Oh, we lost in the wild card after every other year going to late in the fourth quarter of the AFC Championship game. But here's the spiel again. Here's a variation of the same coordinator. We're going to run mesh. Let's have fun. You can't do that again.
And here's the other problem. We can point to the injuries, especially to Ed Oliver, all we want. You quadruple down on the defense in this draft.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't stop the run at all. You can't do it.
Right.
You've decided we're going to ignore wide receiver other than when they had Stephon Diggs. Are you going to overcorrect and draft 3 receivers next year and think that that's going to fix the problem?
By the way, everyone who comes at me with you see, you don't really need a wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 1's only getting in the way. No, you need the best wide receivers you can get. And if you only have one of them and they turn into Stephon Diggs or something like that, then you ride that. This whole idea that you can build this little itty-bitty committee out of all these other receivers. No, if you have to deal with that, you deal with that. Oh, Tom Brady was able to make it work. Yes, but if Randy
Brady, he's Tom Brady. And he had Gronkowski.
And he had Moss when he was really, really, really at the top of his game. Right, yeah, sure. It's possible. There's a big difference between it's possible and this is how we're going to do it now, because it's a philosophical stand. Miss me forever with that. Packers, I'm talking to you too. Miss me forever with that. Get the best receivers you can, put them out there, and get the ball in the hands of the ones who deserve it.
I'm with you, because I think that you need 2. I think you need a duo to do this, and it needs to be wide receiver 1, wide receiver 1A. Eagles won a Super Bowl with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. You look at the Bengals went to a Super Bowl with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I look at the Rams. We bring them up again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Devontae Adams is the missing piece. We're going to look back at Devontae Adams and say he's the guy that put them over the top. He's the guy that got them a Lombardi. The Bills have decided we're just gonna hand it off to James Cook. We're getting the best quarterback in the league. He's mobile. We're gonna let him run, and he'll chuck it down there, and somebody will catch it. Somebody will.
Khalil Shakir slot screen. No one will see the Khalil Shakir slot screen coming the fifth time you run it in a game. And Derek Stingley is out there picking Khalil Shakir out of his teeth after that slot screen. Okay. And I put part of that on the offensive coordinator, but I think it's an organizational level situation where you get to that point. So anyway, we're worried about the Bills. Bills should be worried.
Yes.
Eagles fans, if you're in a bad mood, think about what it's like to be a Bills fan.
Yeah, not great. And I want to kind of flip the script here a little bit on the other side, turn it on its ear. The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know that I'm all that worried about them. This is kind of separate from the worry meter. They basically, by beating the Colts, they've won the right to play 6 more playoff games. That's what it feels like to me, because they've buried themselves to the point where it's almost no margin for error. The remaining schedule is at Dallas on Thanksgiving, versus the Texans in the number 1 defense, versus the Chargers, half bye against the Titans, versus the Broncos in an elite defense, half bye to close it out against the Raiders. You probably have to go 5-1, right?
You have to, because you built yourself a little hole. You don't have great tiebreakers. You've got a loss to the Chargers already. You've got a loss to the Broncos already. The one game you can kind of lose is the Cowboys game, because it's out of conference. I'm pulling up their playoff odds through Aaron, through DVOA and FTN Fantasy. So they're different than the ones you might get from NFL Media. And right now, you'd be shocked to hear this, the Chiefs have a 65.7% chance of reaching. That's because they're the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because the Chiefs because they're high in DVOA and all the things they're good at. But it's a 54.5% chance of getting in as a wild card. To me, it's like I don't worry about the Chiefs making the playoffs. I worry about the Chiefs making the playoffs if I'm the Colts, or the Ravens, or the Steelers, or the Jaguars. Certainly the Patriots, though I think Patriots fans realize they're going to get to the playoffs, and they just pretty much have to worry about everything.
Or if you're the Bills, are they going to snipe your wild card spot? Because NFL Media gives them slightly worse at 54% chance to make the postseason. But I feel like they figured it out against Indy. I feel like Steve Spagnuolo decided, okay, we're just going to go back to blitzing. We're going to send the house at this guy. Our defense plays best when it's blitzing. They did a lot of that. And watching that game, maybe I'm oversimplifying it a bit, and you can kind of rein me in if I am. But I think that the Chiefs have been really successful because Patrick Mahomes has elevated, other than Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, some like above average to slightly above average receivers and weapons around him. But it's been Mahomes and Kelce. I think Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice are better than that. I think that they are like above average to cracking on the top tier. And if you have those kind of weapons around Patrick Mahomes, it just feels like if you can get right, you can start steamrolling and going full speed ahead.
And Kelce is still there, and Andy Reid is calling the plays for them. When I run my thing tomorrow, you're going to see how many different positions all these guys line up in. So it's not like, oh, the Chiefs have a slot receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a slot receiver, et cetera. It's all these guys running in and out. So for the Colts, I think Sauce Gardner had an impact on that game. I think Charvarius Ward had an impact on that game. But then you can attack in the slot because you can move Rice inside. You can move Juju Smith-Schuster inside. You can split Travis Kelce out. Okay.
Yes.
So they have all these solutions. And remember, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they didn't have all these solutions because Worthy was in and out of the lineup with injuries. Rice was suspended. Rice comes back and he might not be at 100%. Now they've got all these. And the defense they're facing this week, the Cowboys defense, especially in the secondary, that's not the Broncos defense from 2 weeks ago, nor is it the current iteration of the Colts who had all these guys back at cornerback. This is a defense where you're going to be able to pick it apart. What'll be interesting after that is, okay, that's one thing. What about the Texans, who have matchup solutions everywhere against you? So that's where we'll have to sit.
For sure. And I look at them, and they're the proverbial team that nobody wants to play. Because if they can get in, it's Mahomes and Reed. You don't bet against Mahomes and Reed as long as they're together.
Right.
They're more battle-tested than anybody in the tournament on that side of the bracket. And I think that they are going to get it done. It just felt like I was watching a new formula against the Colts. It's one that travels. It's one they can get away with. Yeah. And it's Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It looks like somebody's trying to get your attention there.
Yes, I think it's a good time to go to our guest picker for the Thanksgiving games. What do we think?
Okay.
Are we excited? Let's bring
I'm
her in.
excited.
The AirPods. Can you hear me all right over there?
I can, but then you died out. Give another test. 1, 2, 3.
All right, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna bring everybody in. Can you hear us now?
It sounds horrendous. I'm gonna.
Oh no! Oh no! All right. Let me see if I can turn this volume down a little bit. Are we better now?
That's a little bit better. Try a little more.
Okay. A little bit better? How about now? A little better here?
I think we're going to have to go with what we got, unless we have another.
We'll go with what we got. Yeah, we'll go with what we got. Let's bring in the guest picker here. It is my daughter, Sophia. Sophia, get in here. She is off from school this week for Thanksgiving break.
Happy Thanksgiving, Sophia.
Thank you.
More importantly than Thanksgiving, are you starting to get ready for Christmas?
Yes, we already put all decorations up.
Oh, you put your decorations up. Very good. I put my outside decorations up.
And more than that, I think she has like 5 Christmas lists to Santa. I think Santa's going to be bombarded with mail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have several Christmas lists to Santa. Now, is there one item that is on all the lists? Like the top of the list item for Santa. You can tell. It's not a secret that like you can't tell. It's not like a birthday wish. What do you
tell Mike? You can tell the people who's what's the number 1 item on the Christmas list? Oh, the creature that you drew. She drew this creature that she's hoping that Santa can like create and bring with him down the chimney.
Oh my goodness. Aren't you worried about the creature and your cat not getting along? Yeah. Yeah, that's a consideration. You can't just bring creatures. I've got a creature hanging around, a 75-pound dog, and I don't know if they get along with your cat. So that would be a little bit of a worry.
It might not be great. So I figured that we bring Sophia in, getting ready for Thanksgiving, to pick the Thanksgiving games. Yeah, and we'll go one by one. She can pick against us, and then you and I next week will revisit how we did compared to our guest picker. Should we have her go first or go last? What should we do here?
Well, I'm going to have Sophia go first, I think. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to tee her up with the very first game. The first game is the Lions against the Packers.
The Lions.
Oh, my gosh. He's amazing. Hold him up again. What's his name?
That's the Cowardly Lion from Wicked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Wicked Lion.
The Cowardly Lion from Wicked. Now, what would happen if he fought a hippopotamus?
Who wins if a lion fights a hippopotamus? Who wins?
Lion.
The
lion would win?
He would lick him from top to bottomus. Okay.
that joke did not land.
Did not land. The old Wizard of Oz jokes don't land anymore. I have to go with the Wicked jokes. Did you see Wicked Part 2?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Good.
Very good movie, wasn't it? Very, very cool. We got a little bit more of the lion in that one, too.
We did, and I did not like that lion. I'm going to be mad at that lion for quite some time.
Yeah, this lion is cooler than that lion, but that's okay. He was going through issues. So you picked the Lions. That's a very good pick. Now let's go to the next one. This is tricky.
Next game.
The next game, Chiefs against the Cowboys. Do you have a pick?
Who do we have for the Cowboys? We got a whole bag here. We got a bag of props. We're unzipping the bag. Let's see what we got coming out. Oh, who's that? Is that a Chief? Oh, it's the Wolf. It's the Wolf mascot for the Chiefs. That's what it is, right?
He's very cool. That's a very cool pick. So you're picking the Chiefs, but phenomenal. That's a great pick, and I love him. Like, he's kicking up his legs and everything. He's kicking field goals. Do you know?
Probably wide right if he's kicking. If the Chief mascot is kicking the field goals.
Sophia, do you know who Travis Kelce is?
No.
Do you know who Taylor Swift is?
Yeah.
Do you know who Taylor Swift is going to marry?
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Do you know what team Travis Kelce plays for?
He plays for the Chiefs. Did you know? So you get to watch Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's fiance, on Thanksgiving after the turkey.
Right. And if you watch the game, they might cut under this crowd and Taylor Swift will be going like this.
You don't see Taylor Swift.
That doesn't interest you in any way, does it?
You mean Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah, you can shrug. Shrugging is perfectly cool. I love the Wolf. The Wolf is amazing. We didn't recognize him right away. I'm wondering if you got one for the third one here. Oh, I know you do. So here's the third game: the Bengals against the Ravens. Do you have a pick in this one?
Bengals.
Bengals. I thought so. Now, does this Bengal have a name? Does this tiger have a name?
Maya.
Maya. Is Maya from a show, or Maya just your friendly tiger?
Friendly tiger.
He's a friendly tiger. Like my old pal Tigger.
Wonderful thing about tigers is tigers are wonderful things.
Their heads are made out of rubber. Their tails are made out of springs. I don't know. My grandkids are going to be baffled when I have them, when I start making these references. So, by the way, Sophia, you would pick a cat no matter what, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So, given the choice, you would pick a cat over anybody. Okay, that's interesting. What would happen? I just want to throw this out here. It's not happening this week. Bengals against Lions.
Well, what would happen then if the Bengals played the Lions? Who would you pick? Because they're two cats.
Bengals.
Ooh. I'd be tempted with a healthy Joe Burrow to maybe lean into the Bengals a little bit too. I still have no idea why they're playing Joe Burrow in this game. I do think it's malpractice on their part. But Jeff Finnock checks in, and sorry, Jeff, if I butchered the last name there. What is your favorite Turkey Day side? What's your favorite side dish to eat on Thanksgiving? What's your favorite thing on your plate on Thanksgiving?
Cranberry.
The cranberries? Let me ask you this about the cranberries. Do you get the cranberries that actually have little berries in them, or is it just like a jelly?
Jelly.
It's like you dump the can and it kind of slides up.
Right. It still looks like a can when it's sitting there, right? Yes, that's their tradition. That's how we do it, too. People who really do the fancy cranberry thing, I think, are trying too hard. What about dessert? Do you like pumpkin pie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And Sophia's mom makes an outstanding pumpkin pie. She goes kind of against the grain. She uses the graham cracker crust. And the graham cracker crust adds so much value to the pumpkin pie.
The value-added feature is the crust. Well, that's great. If you ever come to our house for Thanksgiving, I'm afraid there will be no pumpkin pie. Although your mom could make one and bring it, but we don't do pumpkin pie here.
No? Wow.
No.
That's bordering savage.
Yeah, so Sophia is unhappy. She's leaving. She's gone.
Oh, is this who you should have picked for the Bengals game? You got taken here?
He's thrilled to be on the podcast. I forget, what's your cat's name again?
His name is Tigger.
Tigger, just like our pal Tigger. Now, could Tigger have won any of these games?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll bet you Tigger it punches way above Tigger's weight class. That's it, right? We're just doing oh no, Tigger's upside down. We're not doing the Friday game too, right? There's not like a
it means we want to pay. I don't think she was prepared for the Friday game to go with the Black Friday game, but I don't think we gave our picks. How about yours? Who do you have in game one? Or go ahead.
One more, Sophia. What if Tigger had to play the Eagles? Who would win?
If Tigger would have to play the Eagles, who would win?
Tigger.
But what if Nick Sirianni coached Tigger? Would Tigger still... Anyway, okay. We'll back up. That was fun. So we're going to make our picks. I'm going Chiefs. I'm going Ravens.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions because I just don't have faith in the Packers keeping their stuff together, and their injury report is a mess. So those are going to be my three picks.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Chiefs to get it done in Dallas. I think that they turned the corner against the Colts. I thought that they figured out an identity. I think it's going to travel. I think that in the Packers game, I'm going to go Lions as well. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think if they win this game and he has the kind of game that he had Sunday against the Giants, you might start to hear the Jahmyr Gibbs MVP rumblings get a little bit louder, just because he seems to be their identity.
OPOY too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the nightcap. Like, I don't know why they're playing Joe Burrow.
No.
I can't rationalize it. I can't understand it. I don't think that they're good enough around him to justify it. So I think
Right.
that the Ravens get it done. That they
Yeah.
smell blood in the water. This is their chance to stake their claim to the AFC North. I think the Ravens win. I think it could be a bit of a blowout.
It's funny that it looks like the Ravens were like, man, if we could afford to rest Lamar Jackson because his ankle's messed up, we would, but we're not. Joe Burrow's like, hey, let's throw the franchise out there, on our 1.3% chance of making the playoffs. I don't see that. Sophia, I got one last one for you.
Okay, he's got one last question for you. Let's see if we go like this will work.
Okay.
What do you got?
Can you hear me, Sophia? Can you hear me? Put it
There
in.
you go.
Put it in.
Put it in there. Yeah, there you go.
Put it in. Okay. You can only watch one movie. Your choices are, or one set of movies. Your choices are Frozen or Wicked. What's your pick? You're picking Wicked.
Wow.
We're picking Wicked. Wow, Anya and also are not pleased, but you're picking Wicked. You got Elphaba and Glenda on your side.
Yeah, we saw the other night. It was awesome. I don't know if you guys caught it yet, but I thought the Wicked for Good was even better than Wicked.
We saw it. We saw it. It was really cool. Now I'm wondering who would win a battle between the Frozen sisters and Elphaba and Glenda. Who would win the battle? Okay.
Ooh, all right. I
can see that. I could see that. I'm worried about those ice powers, but I could still say it.
For sure. Mike, before we get out of here, happy Thanksgiving. What is the favorite Thanksgiving side dish for you? We got Sophia's answer was the cranberries. I'm going with stuffing. It's undefeated. I look forward to it every year, the stuffing. I think that the plate, most of it makes up the stuffing. What's the favorite side dish for you?
Stuffing is the Vince Lombardi Packers of side dishes. They name the trophy after it. I make a very good stuffing. I look forward to making it, look forward to eating it. My sons clean me out so I don't get enough of it. I love that. And then from a dessert, my wife generally makes a nice pecan pie. I like the pecan pie, so that's where I go with there. And if for some reason it doesn't get done, because a lot of times we get too busy, I just don't have dessert. I just eat more stuffing.
Yeah. Make stuffing the next day for lunch. Make a bowl of it. It's all I need. Make enough to last me at least a couple meals there. What do we got coming up on the Two Deep Zone?
Big stat pack coming tomorrow about the 3 games on Thanksgiving and the Eagles-Bears game on Black Friday. All kinds of stats, all kinds of breakdowns. You'll love it. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, had a fun project the last couple days, put together these superstar players who are languishing on terrible teams. Because every year there are guys that are having, maybe not all pro caliber seasons, but the kind of seasons that if we lift them out of their situation and drop them on a contender, they might be the difference maker, might be the missing piece, kind of like Jalen Phillips in Philadelphia with that trade. So it's the best players stuck on terrible teams. Had a lot of fun. There might be a brief feature up on Thanksgiving morning as well.
Oh, wow.
But just want to say, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there listening. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend. This has been the joy of a lifetime getting to work together on this podcast and building our Substack publications together the last couple of years. Hope you and your family have a great one, and thankful for this little one here and her little brother Luca. We're excited for the meal. Hopefully she goes 3-0 in the Thanksgiving games, and we can look back on this and laugh next week a little bit.
Thankful for my family and for all of our subscribers, listeners, viewers as well. Thank you, Sophia, for getting on the podcast. We're running to get Tigger, I think, to get Tigger on the podcast as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye, Tigger.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah.